Hello, I'm Philip Duncan from Weather Watch TV on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us for our Australia-only 7-day forecast. And of course, all eyes are on severe tropical cyclone Jasper, which is still strengthening over the next few days. And while it looks like it sort of weakens and falls apart, it doesn't really. It's just that the long-range forecasts only go out to a certain amount and then they cut off. So it is still likely to go all the way in, and the modelling is very confused about what happens next. Some show it weakening down around Townsville, others show it going up towards Cooktown, and maybe slowing and stalling and reforming. So there's still a lot of questions to be answered. Now, while we've got that up there, there's plenty of other weather going on around the rest of Australia. This is not just about the cyclone. We've got a lot of heat in the south, and that is about to change. We've got some heavy rain around, especially in South Australia, and the temperature drop is pretty big, more than 20 degrees about to be taken off the temperatures. So let's take a look at some of the highlights at the moment. Obviously, Cyclone Jasper, severe Cat 3 when we recorded this, might even be Category 4 by the end of the day. It could get up to Category 5 by Friday. So that's one of the main features, but obviously it's this heat in here, the northerlies coming through the interior, pushing places up into the mid-40s yesterday. That will happen again today. So some of the highlights at the moment: Sydney dry for the next week ahead. Might be a few thunderstorms sort of around you. You never know, one might get you, but otherwise that's the main headline. For Victoria, South Australia, Tasmania, hot then cold is the main headline for you. Brisbane dry for the next week ahead, 28 to 32 degrees for you. The cyclone looks as though it'll be too far north for you. And further inland, places like Roma, 36 to 39 degrees. Sunny today through till Sunday. You might get a few showers on Monday. And then we've got Uluru, 42 degrees. It's hotter further south though with that wind coming down for you. So basically in a nutshell, it's going to be hot around Australia for Friday, Saturday, but then this colder change, it does move through. So let's have a look at the rainfall. Two areas here to keep an eye on: the cyclone to the north and these thunderstorms forming to the south. This area here actually stands out as being much wetter than average over the next week. But up here, this will come through, but like I say, it's still not locked in. It could go anywhere really in that zone from Townsville to Cooktown. And this area inland, I wouldn't lock that in just yet either, because this is just one model saying it, but I've seen other ones that hold it back further out to sea. So, a lot of attention may actually be in the south here for the next few days coming up. And speaking of that, here is the rain for the next 3 days ahead, mostly from Adelaide inland to right through till about Uluru. That's where those showers start to fade off. And more thunderstorms up here to the north. They fade out around about Broome, and mostly dry out here to the east. So let's take a look at the temperatures. As I say, we've got this heat at the moment, mid-40s. This area in here is 8, 9, 10, 12 degrees above average for today. That's the departure from normal map. So the colours show you how much hotter than average for this time of the year it is. So that's certainly some hot weather. But look at tomorrow. Swings the other way. Pink, more than 8 degrees below average. So there's going to be a more than 20 degree temperature drop. Here in New Zealand, the South Island pushes temperatures up 10, 12 degrees, or drops them 10, 12 degrees pretty quickly in the South Island. 20 degrees, that's a bit more of a unique Australia setup. So let's have a look at Friday. There's a few things going on Friday. Adelaide, 34 degrees. That'll be your hottest day of the week. Melbourne, 34 degrees also. That's also your hottest day of the coming 7 days ahead. Hobart, 24 degrees, even with the wet weather down there. Canberra, 33 degrees, even with the wet weather around you as well. Further inland, places like Wagga, 37 degrees. That's your hottest day of the next 7 days ahead with showers. Mildura in Victoria, 44 degrees for you on Friday, and that will be with the cloud. A hot one for you, down to 26 degrees by Saturday, though, with a few showers. And in South Australia, Port Augusta, getting up to 44 degrees, down to 17 is your maximum on Sunday. So that is a huge temperature drop. I think Port Augusta may well have the most dramatic temperature change coming through. Let's move through to Saturday, and you can still see that line of thunderstorms really from about Darwin all the way down here to the very southeastern corner. That's the line you're seeing. And that pulse of hot weather moving through. Sydney, pretty hot day for you, 36 to 41 degrees across the city on Saturday. Adelaide, though, down to 16 degrees with rain. Hobart down to 16 degrees with rain. 21 in Lonnie though. And that 16 in Hobart's the coldest of your next 7 days. Melbourne, 18 degrees. That's a big drop for you too. Also your coldest day of the next week coming up with plenty of wet weather down around here. Canberra, further to the north though, 35, your hottest day of the next 7 days coming up. There will be thunderstorms around. And Newcastle, 35, 37 degrees further to the north there. And then you go further up, further inland, I should say, to Bourke and New South Wales, 43 degrees again, and it'll be sunny. So there's a lot of heat in the north, but that cooler change certainly being noticed in the south. Now, as we go through to Sunday, got hotter air moving through now to places like Perth. You've got sunny weather coming through for the weekend if you're in Perth, and it'll be fairly warm too, going into the low 30s for you, although today cloudy and 24. So it's going to improve as you go into the weekend. Also on Sunday, Sydney has the temperature drop finally coming in, 24, 28 degrees for you with showers. Adelaide, only 14 degrees with some showers around for you. That's your coldest day of the next week coming up. Some other places of interest, Port Macquarie, 27 to 30 degrees for you. It'll be cloudy as we go through into the weekend. Broome, 37 to 40. That's your hottest period of the next 7 days. Also caught up with the hot airflow coming from inland, coming from around Alice Springs and pushing straight up towards you. And a couple of other places to keep an eye on. Longreach, up here in central parts of Queensland, it'll be very hot for you, coming up around 40 degrees. And hello to the big Qantas 747 parked there at the airport. All right, Monday. This is where things get a little more interesting up here in the north, because that's when we do expect the cyclone to be coming in. It may come in as early as Sunday, but the modelling at the moment seems to suggest Monday to Wednesday next week. We'll have a closer view in a second. You can also see there's low pressure down here near Ceduna. That's going to be producing some heavy areas of rain coming in around there for you, and also maybe some heavy showers still around Adelaide. It's not totally locked in though in that area, but yeah, anywhere from really Adelaide, Ceduna and over towards Kalgoorlie, those are the areas that are seeing some heavy showers. Let's have a look at Tuesday. We will do a closer view of this in a moment. Here's Tuesday's setup. Look at the big high down here. Goes all the way up to Gladstone and even north of that. So if you're wondering why Brisbane is not likely to be getting Cyclone Jasper, it may be thanks to a high just off the coast from Tasmania. You don't hear that every day. And that low still stuck here, probably moving over more towards Esperance. But Tuesday, we're seeing places like Launceston, down here in Tasmania, saying it the Tassie way. Looking a little bit showery for you on Tuesday and Wednesday, despite that high pressure zone. Might see a couple of showers that just might form in that area. And talking about Longreach before, also getting some showers here on Tuesday, Wednesday. But let's take a closer look at this. Here is the GFS model for Tuesday. So Cairns, as they say it locally, all the way down to Ingham. These areas here, I think, are most exposed. Innisfail, no stranger to a cyclone coming through. This is the GFS modelling out of America for basically the end of Tuesday afternoon. Let's now compare that with the European modelling showing the storm out there, and that's the GFS one we just showed you. So that's quite a big difference in where they are. One is completely offshore, the other one coming right on in. Now this other model, the European one, shows the storm actually going up more towards Cooktown, and I've seen some versions of this where it kind of stalls and then it regains some strength. So we're not ready to lock in at all what happens in Queensland. There's still a big question mark, but I would say Innisfail to Ingham, those are the areas at the moment that I think are perhaps a little more high risk. And just want to show you the Wednesday map, again showing you the two models. The European one here, and the American one here next to Georgetown. So that's the reason why you saw that rain going inland further before. So look, there's still a big question mark where this is going, and most of the models for the last day or so keep pushing it a little further north towards Cairns and maybe getting up towards Cooktown. It may not go that far north, but it's still really worth keeping an eye on. So here is the American model for Wednesday. See the whole big picture falling apart. If it does that, I think many of you will be very happy. That would be a great setup. You get the rain without, the big problems of a storm. And then elsewhere, still wet in the southeastern corner. Very unusual for an El Nino December, but it's a strange El Nino, as we've discussed. Before I go, the 7-day rainfall. Now, this is based on the American modelling. So if you live in Queensland, don't lock this in yet. But you can see here, the best thinking between Cairns and Townsville is where we think the storm is going to go, but that could still move around. I would say anywhere from Cooktown to Mackay. Those are the areas still worth keeping a close eye on. And we will certainly be fine-tuning this for you as we get closer to it. But look at the rain down here, Ceduna to Adelaide. That's some big rainfall totals. You could be talking 150 millimetres. That's a gigantic amount of rain for that area. Could cause flooding, as you would well know if you live in that area. So the showers in this area, 20, 30 millimetres, hit and miss, depends if you get a thunderstorm. And there we go. What a busy 7 days it is across Australia. That is all from me at Weather Watch TV. We'll be back on Friday as we continue to update, obviously, New Zealand's weather, but also tracking the tropical cyclone Jasper, now over the Coral Sea and still strengthening. We'll see you later.